Very special interview for you guys today on TYTSports. We have KickTV's Hugh Wizzy, the man himself. Hugh, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm very good. Absolute pleasure to be joining you, Rick.
I'm very pleased that you are here. Of course, you could follow him on Twitter at Hugh Wizzy, his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hugh Wizzy. Now, Hugh, I decided to poll some of my followers on Twitter because this is a very, very special interview for us all. So let's get started with that. Here's the Q&A with Hugh Wizzy very quickly. One person, Hayden Moulet, asks, who should Arsenal buy in January? So Hugh Wizzy, a very passionate Arsenal fan, who should they buy in January?
Well, I think there's a couple of areas where we need improvements. It would be fantastic to see Olivier Giroud, who's been holding the front line up for the whole season, get a little bit more support than Nicholas Bentner and the injured Yaya Sanogo have been able to offer. I think at the moment Arsenal do have their eyes on a young 17-year-old starling from Barcelona, whose name is Antonio Sanabria. But as far as the finished article, which is I think what they're after, a striker, possibly, of a top class, the upper echelons towards the Higuain, Suarez type deals that we were talking about during the summer that didn't quite come off. I think it will be time to return to those rumours, and we could see, hopefully, a striker being brought in especially, but a couple of places that could do with either resurgence or refilling, in my opinion.
Now, who exactly do you mean? I mean, I know that you mentioned Giroud, and you basically mentioned players coming over, that is, with Suarez and Higuain. Obviously, those did not come to fruition, but if you had to give me two names, let's say, who do you think?
It's very difficult to say, especially when you're dealing with someone as cagey and secretive as Arsenal and Arsene Wenger in particular. Look how the Mesut Ozil deal came out of nowhere, to be honest. I mean, there were no real rumours in the weeks or months preceding the transfer deadline day. That said, I would think personally that the Suarez deal has probably gone. It's past its sell-by date, and I wouldn't be surprised if his attention, Arsene Wenger's attention, I should say, has diverted elsewhere. A couple of players on the radar. One who hasn't particularly had the greatest of comebacks from injury and will be looking to cement a place in the Brazilian national side before the World Cup is Alexandre Pato, who's been talked about as coming. Another would be our young Real Madrid substitute, Morata, who's probably not a finished article again, but one that's being linked with the club. And finally, I would say from the Premier League that a one-hit wonder, some people are calling him a one-season wonder. Mm-hmm. He had a fantastic start to his Premier League career. Young Belgian beast called Benteke, who hasn't really been firing on all cylinders since he, ironically, got his pay rise. But there are a few players out there. Lewandowski has not finalised where he's going. Do Borussia Dortmund really want to let him go to a rival in Bayern Munich as they did Goetze? The fans surely would revolt.
Sure.
Plenty of options out there, but very difficult to pin down which one in particular could be coming.
I would love to see Lewandowski personally with Arsenal, but here's the other thing. You mentioned Pato. My goodness, is that juicy. That is a sexy, sexy pick, not only to start, but I could see him thriving in the Prem, so that would be interesting. But we move right along. Richard Jennings asks you, Hugh, AFC fans bully smaller teams, but called Neuer arrogant for this, and he's basically, we can't show it, we don't have the rights, but when Arsenal was picked and they drew Bayern Munich against Arsenal, of course, in the Champions League round of 16, Neuer went to his coach to his right and just sort of put out his hand, and they kind of, oh yeah, we got this in the bag. That was the sort of feeling that we got. And then he finishes with pot calling kettle black. So if you would like to respond, Hugh, go ahead.
I mean, very, very cheeky of Manuel Neuer, a goalkeeper who was, if we remember back to last year's Champions League, last 16, when Arsenal returned and defeated Bayern Munich in the Allianz Arena, a goalkeeper who was clutching onto the ball desperately in the last 2 minutes because he knew that they were under serious pressure, and if they conceded that last goal, they would have been knocked out. Don't forget, it was level over the two legs, a 3-3 draw, in fact, and the away goals rule sending Bayern through. So Arsenal are confident, and they have every right to be after a fantastic start to the season and remaining on top of the Premier League for such a long time. They've now invested in a new German, creative super juice of a guy, and I'm expecting it to be a fantastic battle between two of the top sides in European football, a fallible Bayern Munich side who have been beaten at home recently in Manchester City, and although Arsenal were at the hands of a shocking defeat themselves, I think that the little imbalance to the momentum could definitely serve Arsenal's side or aspirations in the Champions League well this year.
And we will certainly discuss Manchester City in just a moment, of course, with Hugh Wizzy of KickTV. Last one for you, Hugh, and I'll read one of the two questions because I wanted to ask you the same question at least. Sam Guest says, can Arsenal win the league? It's a big question. Obviously, there's still a lot of football, footy, soccer, the beautiful game to be played. But what do you think?
We've set ourselves up to definitely be in with a shout. We are going to be challenging for the title, and I think that's something in itself that Arsenal fans were desperate for, just to be in the title challenge. Don't forget that we have been there or thereabouts in the last 3-4 years, where in the last, in February we start slipping up. Slightly disappointing to see that the defensive unit that's come together so well and probably been the best defence, well, statistically been one of the best defences in the Premier League for a while now, came undone against Manchester City, and some regrouping will have to be done after Koscielny's gashed leg is going to see him out, and Wiltshire's ban will see him out of the Chelsea game. So it's difficult to say that if they don't make sufficient investment over the January window, whether they'll be able to maintain the title challenge and bring it home. But I've got every confidence that we are going to be there or thereabouts. It's very difficult to see Arsene Wenger, having been through years of not having the financial stability or the ability to go out and buy these outlandish signings like Mesut Ozil. It's very difficult to see him throwing such a lead away, but a long time to go in the season yet. And it could go anyway, really. Manchester City look phenomenal. Chelsea haven't really got started. Manchester United have got some easy games coming up, but Arsenal are for sure, perfectly placed as we move into Christmas, which is definitely a tumultuous and telling time to take home their first Premier League title in 9 years.